Have you been playing Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, grinding away to get your characters more powerful, trying to find that super rare item, and ask yourself, is there an easy way just to modify my save file and get all the stuff that I want? First of all, if you're trying to modify your save file just to jump ahead and make your characters more powerful, you've come to the right place. Second, if you're learning how to create your own PvP roster that's easily modifiable and you can get back to playtesting faster, welcome again. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to a way to modify your save file to get your characters just the way you want them, manually and skipping the random battle grind. Hi, I'm Mikey from Final Fantasy Tactics Live Tournament, and this video has been a long time in the making. Throughout the course of introducing you to PvP in Final Fantasy Tactics, we have created videos that rank jobs from worst to best, how to set up your own PvP match, ways to grow your character's stats, and even how to balance your existing rosters for PvP. By designing a PvP roster from scratch, we eliminate the need to go into random battles, spending countless hours grinding away to achieve a certain level of power balance between the characters. Instead, we can go in and manually adjust stats, abilities, and equipment so that we can get right back into PvP playtesting. Because we will be working with PC software, there are some additional hardware requirements besides your PSP and memory card. In addition, you will need a laptop or desktop PC with a suitable card reader. You will need the Lioneditor software, which I have linked in the description below. You will need an emulator, PPSSPP preferred, and you will also need a backup of your PSP UMD of Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. Even if you don't end up modifying your save files, I highly recommend making a backup of your Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions UMD. There are plenty of YouTube videos available on how to do this. However, if you'd like me to create one, just go ahead and leave a comment below. Once you have all the programs downloaded and you have your PC set up with your memory card reader, we're ready to jump in. So, let's get into it, shall we? And we are going to start out with the very first chance we have to save. So you'll see I have a bunch of pre-made rosters already created, and I have a save point at the very first spot, right after you stop the thieves in Garland Magic City. First thing we want to do is save this file. We want to save a new file, so we keep the original one as a backup. I'm just going to do that real quick. And then we're going to leave the game. I'll see you back on the PC desktop. Okay, now we are back on the PC. And I've inserted my PSP memory card. If I go into the memory card directory, open up the PSP folder, go into save data, and find your Final Fantasy Tactics folder, name something with FFT in the name. So first thing I recommend that you do is create a backup of this file. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to create a backup folder on my desktop. Backup. Let's go into here, make a new folder with today's date, and place our save files in here. Now you can see I have downloaded the Lioneditor program and unzipped it into its own folder, and I made a little star just to make it easier to see. And we also have our emulator, PPSSPP for Windows, unzipped there as well. And we have a backup of our Final Fantasy Tactics UMD file. So we're ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our emulator folder. And this is kind of set up as if it was a PSP. So we want to go into our memstick folder, PSP, save data, and copy the folder from the PSP memory card into here. Then we're going to go back up into our PSP folder and go into the system folder, and we're going to edit this ppsspp file. It's a configuration setting file. We're going to right click on it, open with Notepad, and you'll see a list of different settings that your PSP emulator is going to load with. So what we want to find is encrypt save file. So I'm just going to search Control F or find in under the edit menu. And we're going to look for encrypt. Find next. There we go, encrypt save. So we're going to change this from true. So we have encrypt save. We're going to change this from true to false. We're going to save the file. And then we are going to open up this file on our PSP. So let's go back up to the main root folder of ppsspp, and let's launch ppsspp for Windows. So I'm going to blow this up full screen, and you can load your backup UMD. It'll recognize it as Final Fantasy Tactics. Go ahead and click that. You may want to take the time now to set up your keyboard bindings to whatever you prefer. Go ahead and continue. And let's go into the file we just made at the very bottom. This is the file that we're going to edit. We're going to load the game data, and we are immediately going to save it. Now, what this does is give us an unencrypted save file. So let's go ahead and exit out of the game. Let's go back into our memstick. Let's go back into our save data. But let's go ahead now and copy and paste this unencrypted save file and rename it to Lioneditor.bin. All right, let's open up our Lioneditor program. Let's go into our unzip folder, open up Lioneditor, and I guess this is as big as it'll go. Let's minimize these so that they're not as distracting. And we are going to open up our Lioneditor file. So let's go back up to our desktop under the ppsspp folder, under our memstick folder, PSP folder, save data folder, our Final Fantasy Tactics save, and let's open up that Lioneditor.bin file we just created. Okay, you should see it populate with all of these save files up here at the top. This drop-down menu is all your different save files. So let's go right to the bottom. This is the file that we want to edit. And you can see we have all of our characters here, even our guest characters down here. And you have the full range of options to change your character. You can change their name. I don't like the name Zell, so I'm going to change it to Pingle. And I don't like that he's a squire, so let's change him to a monk. Let's leave him at level 1. You'll notice that as you start to change things around, their stats will change a little bit. That's all well and good because you can just add whatever you'd like here, but this is also a reflection of how your raw stats and your class stats give you your final stats. If you need a quick refresher, there is a link posted up above for how we go over how stats work and how to grow your characters the manual way so that you get amazing stats right off the bat. Okay, moving back into Lioneditor, we can change his level. Say we want to make him 45 for this very first fight. Let's change his bravery up to 81, his faith down to 29. Let's just click these up and down arrows to raise his physical attack to whatever we'd like. And magic doesn't really matter, at least for this guy. And we'll make him a monk, so he's got a bunch of HP. We can even change him to a female if we want to, so he'll register as a female or male. We can change how he looks, so he can be a generic female. We can change him into somebody else if we want to, any special characters. And these are all different entries for monsters and other random characters throughout the game. But I usually just stick with generic characters, so generic male, generic female. Go ahead and change this one up to female. You can change their equipment if you like. You can put wrong things in their hand. You can put rings in their attack slot if you want to. I just stick with what should go there. But seeing as that's a monk, I guess you can give him a sword. You can change up his jobs. So if I just want to add a bunch of abilities, I can. There we go, Mastered Knight. You can change the total amount of job points that they've earned. So if you actually want them to be mastered and still be level 8, you can. Let's go into Monk. Give him everything. Cool. Instead of a leather cap, let's give him, ooh, I don't know. First thing I see, red hood. And body, I love the brave suit. Let's give him that. Accessory, how about a feather weave cloak? So I can type in a letter, feather weave cape, there we go. Secondary skill, let's give him, how about jump? And then we can go into his jobs. Dragoon, horizontal jump 8, vertical jump 8, ignore elevation, awesome. Let's give him movement ability, ignore elevation. Support ability, oh I know, auto potion. Yeah, that's a good one. Make sure that he learns it. Chemist, auto potion, easy peasy. And then for support ability, yeah, re-equip, whatever. Okay, so at this point, you kind of get the gist of how to alter individual characters. Let's boost up his speed while we're at it. And let's go ahead and click the Save Disk button. You can even copy and paste characters, so it takes less time to make another one. Let's call this guy Aegon. And you're going back to male. The job's the same, that's fine. We just want to make sure that this all works. So we've clicked the save file, and this saves our Lioneditor.bin file. We still need to make a Final Fantasy Tactics save file. So what I'm going to do is go to File, Save As, and we're going to overwrite this ffta.sys file. That's in our ppspp, memstick, psp, save data, in our Final Fantasy Tactics save folder. Overwrite it. Let's go back into our notepad and let's change the, no, you can find it, come on. Where did it go? Let's change the encrypt save back to true. Save the file. Let's go ahead and open up our emulator once more. And we should see our newly edited file. right there at the bottom. Let's go into our party roster to confirm. And there are huge guys. I can't wait to see how they perform. So, go back to your data, save it, overwrite your file, exit out of the emulator, then go up, exit out of this, exit out of this. We're going to go into our memstick folder and just copy this back over to our memory card. What I like to do is erase or delete the original folder and then copy the new version over in its entirety. Nice and clean. Okay, eject your memory card. And I'll see you back over in the PSP. And we are back on the PSP. And it looks like the file saved correctly. If you don't see it continue, then that means that something went wrong and your data got corrupted. You may need to start all over again. So make sure you double check that you're unencrypting and re-encrypting your save files in the emulator. All right, let's load our data. And going into our party roster, we see that on the PSP, we can play with Aegon and Fingal. They're exactly who they should be. Okay, now that we have our characters edited and they're pumped up, let's get through some story battles. Now, I want to advise you that yes, you can adjust your characters after the very first battle at your very first save point. But when it comes to PvP, what you're going to find is the more you complete the story, the more maps you'll be able to unlock in melee mode. So right now, we only have Garland Magic City to battle our friends in. I recommend not only getting to the storyline because it's amazing, but also for PvP purposes as well. Okay, so on to trying out our edited characters very, very early on without having to do any grinding. Let's get Fingal in there and Aegon. Yeah, let's just shockwave these guys right off the bat. Why not? There we go. Well, the storyline should be a breeze. Downtown. Not too bad. Oh, I hope he does not still draw breath. So there you have it. A quick and easy way to adjust your characters, and you can still play them on your PSP. When it comes to PvP, just load up your save file across both PSPs and you're ready to start battling each other with your pre-made roster. Alright, now we know how to modify our roster and make quick changes to all of our characters. There are some things that I would like for you to consider. First, start with a plan. I recommend writing down your roster in something as simple as Google Sheets, so you can see all your characters from a bird's eye view. In this way, you can assign them jobs and abilities, give them equipment without being redundant. It also helps you to know what to build ahead of time, so you don't have to go back and forth making minute changes before you even set a single stat point. Another consideration is to take playtesting notes. In the heat of the battle, it can be easy to forget that a character was overpowered or didn't have the right equipment that fit their design. But by being organized and tracking the changes that you need to make, you're using your time more wisely when you're playtesting. I recommend using sites like Trello because they're very easy to set up boards and have cards for each of your characters, using labels and comments to designate whether they're overpowered, underpowered, or need subtle changes to be made. And for a third consideration, share your roster. Make sure people know that you've created something that's fun to play. Let them know what inspired you and what kind of unique characters you've added to your list. Trello makes it especially easy to share your board out. In fact, share your board out in the comments below. Yes, it's a wrap. That's how easy it is to modify your characters using Lioneditor in Final Fantasy Tactics. If you're playing the single player experience and you just want to get through the storyline as quickly as possible and max out your characters, this is the way. If you're creating a PvP roster and you want to balance your characters out quickly or make little changes on the fly, this too is the way. And if you have a Trello board with your roster designed, go ahead and send a link in the comments and I'll feature it in a future video. I'm very curious to see what you came up with and what inspired you. It has been a pleasure for me to introduce you to the world of pre-made rosters that will hopefully breathe new life into Final Fantasy Tactics or the Lions for you and your friends. If you enjoyed this tutorial video, throw it a like and subscribe. It will really help the channel spread the love of Final Fantasy Tactics to more people. This is Mikey from Final Fantasy Tactics Live Tournament, signing off. I will see you all in the next video. And until then, be well everyone.